America recover from its current destructive trade policy? Yeah, but it's going to take a long time. We still are the largest economy in the world. We are also the largest consumer base on the planet, even though consumption is dropping along with consumer sentiment. And yes, it's true that China is the world's largest exporter and manufacturer, but the United States is the world's second in both. Germany is an industrial powerhouse, and we have a larger manufacturer base than them. Over 60% of the world's currency-denominated debt is denominated in US dollars. Oil and almost every other major commodity is still priced in US dollars, along with, of course, the most prominent equities. So that gives us a lot of wiggle room for recovery, but it's not going to last forever, especially if we keep up with these destructive policies. So like I said, yes, it's possible we can recover, but it's going to take quite some time because we really screwed the pooch with this trade policy. If the United States immediately walks back on all of its tariff policies, there will be a bit of an economic recovery, but the world will not want to invest in America anywhere near as much as they did even 4 months ago. We have broken dozens of contracts with our trading partners that were supposed to be unbreakable. That leaves a mark. That's why the value of the dollar and our treasury bonds are dropping, because they are not for the time a flight to safety, even though they have been for the past 80 years. The world's GDP is about $96 trillion per year, and the United States' GDP is about $30 trillion, so we account for 26% of global economic activity. Unfortunately, right now, that remaining 74% of world GDP, about $70 trillion, is saying, we're going to back away from you because you might re-elect another idiot or an even worse idiot in the near future or far future, and we have to hedge ourselves for that now. The world probably won't be able to completely cut off the United States from the global supply chain, but they will make every effort they can to minimize it because of our untrustworthy leadership and potential future untrustworthy leadership. The only thing right now that could speed up the world's regaining of trust in the United States is if Congress starts implementing laws or even an amendment in our Constitution which takes away a president's ability to enact tariffs during an emergency. Up until 1934, during the Great Depression, the right to tariff was purely the purview of Congress, not the president. And we have to get back to that because we see now what happens when a fool is at the helm of our trade policy. So yeah, with an amendment or a law that restores the right to tariff purely in the legislative branch, that would help tremendously. Even better if the current Supreme Court could say that any presidential incursion on the right to tariff is unconstitutional. But if such a solution doesn't come to pass, and if the world never trusts us again, what would have to happen for us to have a strong economy again and not go into just deep poverty? We would need to weaken our currency so our exports remain competitive with the rest of the world, meaning that our ability to import and externally consume drops. And I know a lot of you are thinking that tariffs are going to bring manufacturing jobs back to the US. It won't. America isn't the only country that offshores manufacturing. Japan, China, South Korea, a lot of European countries do the same thing, and it keeps prices competitive against ours. Think of it from a weapons standpoint. If you are a country that no longer likes modern weapons and you just want to focus on bows and arrows, guess who's going to be losing very quickly? Reshoring the vast bulk of our manufacturing means, of course, we are going to have to spend a lot more money to pay competitive wages and, of course, safety regulations, insurance, all these good things that American workers should have. But it'll also make any goods we sell that much more expensive to the world and the American consumer. So how would American manufacturers compete with Germany, Japan, China, who are manufacturing roughly the same quality of goods but for a much cheaper price? We don't. We would build manufacturing just to shut those same factories down in a couple years, maybe even sooner. So unless we go through some kind of Great Depression and we start to see unions collapse and wages drop by over 40 or 50%, we're not going to see a huge resurgence of manufacturing coming back to the United States. Well, what if America manages to somehow cut costs in the manufacturing and services sector by a lot? A guaranteed way to do that is if we put trillions of dollars into infrastructure, roads, highways, high-speed rails, you name it. Better infrastructure drops transport costs for everybody, not just the manufacturer, but also common consumers and workers, and that could actually give us a huge economic boom. But good luck getting that kind of money in this administration or the next. The last solution, it's not very pretty, I don't like to think about it, but war. Or at the very least, another major Cold War. During the Cold War, the United States GDP spent on the military ranged between 5% to 10%. That's the equivalent of $1.5 trillion to $3 trillion spent on defense alone. Under such conditions, the United States government could easily wipe away a lot of regulations protecting consumers and land, you name it. Switching to a wartime economy would be a huge boost to GDP. Any resources we have that are protected by any environmental laws completely gone. So oil, natural gas, lithium, rare earth elements, that's just all up for grabs. Right now, the United States military is still the most powerful on the planet, and we are only spending about 2.5% to 3% of our GDP on it. So imagine if we actually doubled it and got away with it. Just remember, it wasn't FDR that got us out of the Great Depression. He may have stopped it from getting worse, but it was World War II that pulled us out of that economic slump. It wouldn't just be the military industries that take off. It would be a huge boost to the overall manufacturing sector, and you would see infrastructure start to grow just to be able to transport our military assets. If it's just a Cold War, the world would be pretty skittish, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the West and other Eastern anti-China countries become much more friendly with us because of a highly militarized China, even more than today. And if there was an actual war that we managed to win, then just everyone would be desperate to stick to whoever stands strong after the smoke clears. But I don't think we want to get there, do we? I am the Geo Husar, and making it illegal for the president to enact tariffs sounds like the easiest solution. Let's see if our congressmen are brave enough to do it. Thanks for watching.